If you've been using the internet for a long time, you may have heard or seen Obedece a la Morsa, Obey the Walrus, a bizarre video of a weirdly shaped individual who clumsily tap dances, accompanied with a creepy song in backwards and surreal video effects. While the video itself is extremely popular, the drama its creator caused in the early Hispanic YouTube community is not well known. The sole documentation of the video's backstory consists of 10-year-old blogs and YouTube videos with less than 3K views, and to my knowledge this incident is completely unknown outside the Hispanic internet. Because of this, I decided to take one for the team and bring this little saga to the rest of the world. Content warning: mentions of sexual abuse, transphobia, and dead naming in some of the linked videos, paraphilias, gore, etc. It is worth mentioning that this is my first write-up of this kind and I tried my best. So I hope it doesn't suck, hehe. Also, English is not my first language, so sorry for any grammatical errors. Also, I was not present for this drama, so most of the content is sourced from YouTube videos, blogs, and archives from old dead forums. I will link everything I can at the end of the post. Also, this is the last also, I promise. Some of the individuals mentioned in this story are still active on the internet. I beg you to not harass them nor contact them in any way. These events happened nearly 15 years ago, and I'm sure all of them have moved on and don't want to be reminded of this stupid shit they did in their teenage years. Without further ado, here's a story of Obedece a la Morsa. Prologue: the Queen of the Underground. To give a little bit of context, I want to start this write-up explaining who is the person featured in this video. This is the part everyone knows, so feel free to skip this prologue if you want. The individual depicted is Sandy Crisp, also known as the Goddess Bunny, a transgender woman who was born on January 13, 1960, in California. Her life story is extremely tragic. As soon as she was born, she started to suffer from polio, and negligence from part of the doctors who made her suffer far more severe consequences from this illness. For example, they introduced an 18-inch long steel rod in her back when she was a child. It was never removed and it severely disfigured her body. It was hard for her to walk at all, so she usually used a wheelchair to move. She also struggled with gender identity, more specifically from the lack of support from her family regarding this. Her mother was ashamed of her and usually dead named her. Hold up. Hold up. The perceived weakness of being trans and feminine, alongside the physical weakness granted by her disability, made her an easy target for humiliation and sexual abuse in the foster homes she used to reside in. Feeling like an outcast in an era where queer identity and disability were not very well understood, she found a welcoming home in the Hollywood underground. She started a career as a drag queen, becoming an icon of the underground, which helped her to form significant connections with artists of all kinds. She acted on numerous independent films, was featured on music videos, and was a subject of several art photography projects, one of which is part of the Louvre's permanent collection, The Goddess Bunny as Lita by Joel Peter Witkin, dated 1986. Just a warning before you look it up, the picture depicts nudity. Most relevant to this story is the self-titled documentary The Goddess Bunny, which was released in 1994. It is a tour to the queer Hollywood underground, with a focus on the queen of it all, Sandy Crisp herself. It is an amazing showcase of weirdness and uniqueness, a film that depicts curious and bizarre, yet heartwarming individuals and avant-garde performances or art. In one specific scene, the documentary showcased the content of a single tape which was sold on rare underground VHS video stores. The Goddess Bunny tap dancing with rock and roll music in the background. It is a wholesome tape, to be honest. Sandy looks like she is enjoying herself and makes funny faces to the camera. Sadly, in the future, this footage would fall into the wrong hands and catapult her to infamy 14 years later. It all started in 2006. when the YouTube user Contron would upload a series of videos to his channel titled Mentally Disturbing. They may have pioneered the creepy, mysterious video genre that the YouTube horror community has come to love, being one of the first of its kind as far as I know. It has to be mentioned that these videos don't feel very scary nowadays, lol, but you can always see how these serve as a blueprint for what was going to come in the following 10 years or so. Anyway, the 4th episode of this series, Warning, contains a small frame of gore at the end. Features lots of weird, creepy video samples. But most importantly for us is the soon-to-be infamous tap dancing footage from the Goddess Bunny documentary. The editing, the music, and the fact of being paired with jump scares and similar creepy footage made this dancing scene look way more disturbing than it actually was, distorting its original intent and giving it a terrifying aura at the expense of the Goddess Bunny's physical condition. It was a disgusting thing to do, but at the end of the day it was a short clip in an otherwise long video filled with lots of other clips. Sadly, it inspired a bored teenager to make her the focus of a video that would make her viral for the wrong reasons. Part 1. Obey the Walrus. It's October of 2007. At this time, YouTube was barely starting to break through the mass consciousness. But even then, it was not very well known in Hispanic America, which is where the story takes place. In this scenario, YouTube itself was mostly irrelevant, as most of the viral videos were shared between cell phones through Bluetooth or infrared file transfer. Hundreds and hundreds of low-quality .3GP videos were shared by teenagers on a daily basis, be it funny dancing animals, manipulative propaganda about abortion, parody songs, or whatever was popular amongst this audience at the time. Hispanic YouTube was mostly used as a host for these videos, which achieved viral status through word of mouth, and the rest of the content was just boring family photos, slideshows, and irrelevant content. But that changed with the upload of one single video. Enter Obedece a la Morsa. It's October 5th, and the YouTube channel Obey the Walrus sees the light of the world, bringing this infamous video with it. 80% of the video depicts the tap dancing footage, sometimes sped up and sometimes slowed down. The colors changing and distorting themselves while some kind of warped children's song plays in the background. It was exploitatively creepy. And while nowadays we can just shrug it off as some badly edited video, it shook waves in the Hispanic YouTube community back then. It was something they have never seen before. So obviously lots of people downloaded it and made it viral in the cell phone video sharing pseudo community. But it wouldn't stop there. It would become one of the most viewed videos on the entire platform, amassing an impressive, at the time, amount of 5 million views in the next 12 months. But the truth is, Obedece a la Morsa was not the only video created by Obey the Walrus. In its 1-year-long run, another 10 videos were uploaded to the channel. Insomnia, La Liebre y la Bestia, sorry I don't know Spanish, The Hare and the Beast, Dance of Doom, Warning, contains a small clip of seemingly acted gore, La Venganza, The Revenge, Warning, contains frames of extreme gore, though this re-upload is very low quality, so it is hard to figure out any of the visceral details. Still disgusting though. La Masa lo sabe, The Mass knows, No, Holy Shamo, El Toro en mi pijama, Holy Shamo, The Bull in my pajamas, Ratatouille, La Muerte de Remy, Ratatouille, Remy's death, Warning, depicts a rat being eaten by a snake, Juicy Maraca, Warning, contains flashing lights, and La Pasión, The Passion. All of these videos share the creepy surreal aura of Obedece a la Morsa, but also add something seemingly lacking in the original video, subliminal messages. All of this sparked interest in Obey the Walrus persona and his motives for uploading these videos, and the community was hungry for answers. Who was the lady in the tap dancing footage, and why was she featured in some of the other videos? Who was behind the channel, and why did they create this content? Was this some weird art project, or were the motives behind this something more sinister? At first, not much was known about the channel's owner. Let's call him Obey. The only info that could be found in the channel description was his name and therefore his gender. He had a male name. And his location. He lived in Mexico. Other than that, it was pretty much a mystery, and therefore lots of conspiracy theories were thrown around by horror enthusiasts. The video was satanic propaganda, or it was an MK Ultra type mind controlling scheme, or it was the work of a transsexual cult, which hid subliminal messages in children's music, among other theories. Some of these false hypotheses lasted for years after the ending of the story, overpassing the facts and becoming myth. The thing is, there were no clear answers at this point. Sooner than later, a community would form around this mysterious individual. Lots of people tried to contact him through YouTube comments and/or private messaging, to no avail. To address the newfound influx of enthusiasts, Obey opened an MSN account where he could chat with those he deemed worthy, which often was a very small amount of people. He used his YouTube blog frequently to express his ideas, used a MySpace account to showcase his drawings, and opened a forum to interact with the people interested in his content. Upon the following weeks, Obey's personality would come to light. He seemed to be extremely disturbed, enjoyed questionable content like gore or coprophilia, and apparently believed himself to be a god. He clearly wasn't a sane person, and his forum structure was another proof of this. Some of the sub-forums that are worth mentioning are the believers, for worshippers of the Walrus, the Mass, for those who are not convinced of following the Walrus, but expressed interest in the videos. The Walrus speaks threads about recent events, but they included commentary from Obey himself, and Satisfy Your Morbidity, a hub for all kind of depravities, among others. It was pretty clear that Obey wanted to establish some kind of cult, and those fascinated by his videos followed suit. Part 2. Those who obeyed and those who rebelled. Obey's fanbase continued to grow over the following months. Dozens of people commented on the channel, posted on the forum, discussed the videos, and praised Obey. Few people would manage to catch his attention. Few people would manage to catch his attention, though, because he was very strict on who would get to make contact with him. Those unfortunate to speak with him through MSN were greeted with talk related to all kinds of depravities: zoophilia, coprophilia, sadism, auto-penetration, and other kinds of edgy, disgusting topics. The extent of which these enthusiasts actually believed in the ideology and lore preached by Obey, or were rather just playing along in a role-play kind of way, is unknown to me, as browsing the forum is really hard because the archive on the Wayback Machine is extremely broken. I was able to gather the existence of initiation rituals, where people could ask to prove their worth through several tasks given by the mods and Obey himself. The content of the rituals were secret, though. I believe enough context is provided to affirm that some of the fans were really invested in the lore community. And while Obey had people begging to talk with him and participating in the initiation ritual, there was another group of people who were actually displeased with all of this stuff. And who can blame them? Here was a person who literally used gore in his videos, was pleased in scaring others with his bizarre content, and had a significant grandeur delusion. A legion of haters would soon emerge, and the de facto leader at the time was a user by the name of Music Is My Faith. Music Is My Faith was a Loquendo YouTuber who, like everyone else, was intrigued and disturbed by Obey's videos and persona. He was disgusted by Obey's behavior, so he decided to take the bullet and start a thorough analysis of all his content to better understand why he acted like that. He uploaded a 3-part series called No Obedecere, I Will Not Obey, which launched a wave of similar titled series by other users, where they would analyze all the videos and form their own conclusions. In Music Is My Faith series, he was able to identify the person on the tap dancing footage, Sandy Crisp, and included an analysis of sounds and visuals on all of the videos uploaded so far, discovering subliminal messaging and shared imagery between them all, such as the white bunny symbolism or the use of children's music or videos to represent infancy. To quote his opinions on the whole matter, Well, we've now been hearing little subliminal messages and little subliminal messages one after the other. My mind has probably now turned into a complete clusterfuck after hearing that disgusting shit so fucking much. That's Laquendo for you. One thing worth noting is that Music Is My Faith struggled to find the subliminal messages in the original Obedece a la Morsa video, as it was the simplest of them all. To him, it was a complete mystery because there had to be something hidden that he missed to uncover. To this day, only the first 2 videos of the series survive, so the conclusion of my Music Is My Faith investigation is unknown to us, but it can be surmised that it caused quite a stir. Soon a war would ensue, and flame wars, response videos defending one side or the other, and general pettiness would come. Sooner than later, the evidence of 2 groups was determined, those who obeyed and those who rebelled. Part 3. A Semblance of Dualism. The Obey the Walrus vs. Music Is My Faith war was in full motion, and this meant more and more worshippers who wanted to be a part of Obey's turf. While some people would end up forming part of Obey's circle, most of those wannabes were promptly deemed as unworthy by Obey. But there was one single user who ended up being more than worthy. He would end up becoming so invested into the whole lore that he became Obey's closest confidant and ally. Such user was Conquezabit. This individual seemed to truly believe in Obey's deity status and desperately craved to be his right hand. He contacted him, expressed his admiration to him and the videos, and affirmed he could help him to spread his message. Obey seemed weirdly interested in this proposition, so he asked him to prove his fidelity in the form of tribute videos, which would have to include the similar editing and subliminal content that were so characteristic of his own videos. Conquezabit obliged. He soon uploaded free videos. ¿Le temes a la morsa? Are you scared of the walrus? Suena con la bolsa. Dream of the walrus. And La diestra de la morsa. The walrus' right hand. These mostly featured footage from the Goddess Bunny documentary, paired with the classic creepy editing of Obey's videos. Obey seemed to be very flattered by this, so he privately named Conquezabit his Prince of Terror, only to deny their connection when asked about it publicly. Conquezabit was not fully worthy of being Obey's public right hand, but that would change slowly over the following weeks. At the first stages of their friendship, Obey only gave Conquezabit false information about his life, feeding him lies as manipulators often like to do. But as time passes, Obey would get very comfortable with him, to the point of publicly acknowledging him as his true right hand. After all, Conquezabit was the Prince of Terror and blindly believed in Obey and his status of the true God. All this newfound attention to Conquezabit would make him a secondary target of Obey's hate legion. Relevant to our story is 77 Tortellini, another Laquendo YouTuber who made his own No Obedecere series. This time he focused on Conquezabit and his free videos, revealing the subliminal messages hidden in them and showing how he used the symbolism of Obey's content into his own. It is worth mentioning that 77 Tortellini is one of the most savage players of this whole story. Probably the second most disgusting after Obey himself. He sprouted hate and resentment against Conquezabit and Obey both, which passed the using lots of bad words and insults line and goes into very questionable terrains, such as joking about abuse. This is an excerpt from the final episode of his series. You disgust me, Obey the Walrus. You're a loser and don't deserve any kind of forgiveness. You've caused so much damage. Do you know how many children had nightmares because of you? Do you know how many people have felt confused because of your delusions? People like you shouldn't even exist in this world. And if more people like you happen to be born, we're all gonna get our brains filled with shit. But not like your brain, which is already shit-filled in abundance. A dog's waste is more significant than you. Yet you believe you're a god and you're above us. In reality, you're less than any single fig that exists in the wide and foreign universe. That excerpt consists of only 30 seconds of the video, and it's one of the milder quotes of a 9-minute long rant. That's Laquendo for you, I guess. Ignoring the edgy aura of his videos, 77 Tortellini goes too deep into this shit, and his conclusions are kind of surprising. This is Evangelion tier overanalyzing, to be honest. But since those deep analysis videos aren't relevant to the drama, I will not explain them in the write-up. If you're interested but are unable to watch his videos because of the language barrier, just ask me and I can explain it to you in a comment. One thing worth noting about this is a parallel that I discovered that was implied in Conquazbit's video. Obey/Conquazbit and Kira/Mikami from the popular anime series Death Note. Kira wrongly believes he's a god, while Mikami blindly believes this and aids him in his quest for cleansing the world of all evil. Conquazbit used the Kira/Mikami theme song, semblance of dualism, in his videos. And the title of this track is an apt description of Obey/Conquazbit's relationship. The dualism between a god and a mortal, a king and his servant, a manipulator and his victim, the fact that 77 Tortellini used a picture of Nier, a detective in Death Note who worked to bring Kira down, as a YouTube avatar only makes this metaphor far more compelling. As a side note, 77 Tortellini also failed to find any deeper meaning in the original Obedece a la Morsa video. So for Conquazbit, the act of becoming Obey's closest ally didn't come without its consequences. He became a target of the anti-Obey Legion, got analyzed with the same scrutiny Obey once was, and was universally hated by those not worshipping Obey. Such is the price of being noticed by a true god. Part 4. I did this for the Walrus. Almost a year had passed since the Walrus mythos and its series of videos had come to light. Everything seems to be going on as normal as ever. The forum is still active with conversations and fans. Haters are hating and Obey is being worshipped by Conquazbit among others. All is well for Obey, but the beginning of the end was about to start. Enter Kafsamexamek, another Loquendo YouTuber who made his own No Obedecer series. These videos are lost media. I didn't link to any re-upload because they don't exist. Kafsamexamek analyzed Obey's and Conquazbit's content and explained his own theories. But the most relevant thing was that a couple of MSN screenshots he showed in the video, which were leaked to him by Music Is My Faith. These reveal a conversation between Music Is My Faith and Conquazbit, which the latter feeded Obey's personal information to the former forum to make his final No Obedecere video. Conquazbit seemed to have betrayed Obey the Walrus, and the two of them permanently broke contact after this. The semblance of dualism was broken, but from the looks of it, it never existed at all. Kafsamexamek also accidentally dropped the password for Conquazbit's YouTube account. I guess Conquazbit showed it to Music Is My Faith in the MSN conversation, and therefore Music unknowingly leaked it while leaking the screenshots. All we can do is speculate, because the leak itself is lost media. This prompted some user to upload fake videos in his account, which had nothing to do with the lore. Conquazbit deleted these videos and changed his password as soon as he could to protect his account, and begged Kafsamexamek to delete the reveal because it ruined his entire plans. But the jig was up, and Conquazbit had no options but to face the music and spill the beans. Conquazbit started a series of Loquendo videos in his own channel, the first one being titled La Supuesta Realidad de Obey the Walrus, the supposed truth of Obey the Walrus. Here he states his true intentions from the very beginning. All of his praise for Obey was part of an elaborate plan to find out everything he could about him, compilating information to discover the real motives behind all of the videos and to reveal to the world who he truly was. In the first episode, he explains how he managed to obtain Obey's trust, revealing one of the tasks he asked him to do. Obey wanted Conquazbit to take a picture of himself holding a white bunny while being naked, with the words, "I did this for a walrus," written on his chest. Yup. Conquazbit affirmed that Obey was not a character. He was a disturbed and mentally ill person who needed psychiatric help, and sooner than later, Conquasbit will be able to prove it. The next episode is El Ejército de la Morsa vs. Conquasbit, Part 1. The Walrus Army vs. Conquasbit, Part 1. In this video, Conquasbit attacks and debunks some of the investigations and accusations done against them amidst the video release of La Supuesta Realidad de Obey the Walrus. Some done by randos and other done by people close to Obey's inner circle. Such examples are Axelexa, an admin of the forums, an Obey worshipper who produced several write-ups calling out Conquasbit's alleged lies. Sadly, these posts are lost to time. And Tibas Sauknok, a Conquasbit impersonator who played in Obey's turf, even making a fake website in order to profit from ad revenue. In El Ejército de la Morsa vs. Conquasbit Part 2, the Walrus Army vs. Conquasbit Part 2, he attacks three familiar faces from our story: 77 Tortellini, Kafsamexamek, and Music is My Faith. Conquasbit rightly criticizes all the terrible remarks done by 77 Tortellini in his videos, asking why he needed to throw so much shit against them, and also debunking part of 77 Tortellini's analysis by showing the real explanations for subliminal messages hidden in his own videos. In Kafsamexamek's case, Conquasbit calls him out for his carelessness on leaking the MSN conversation and disturbing his plans, stating that he could have recompiled way more information on Obey if the MSN conversations weren't leaked. Also, he berates him for leaking his password. The criticism of Music is My Faith is way weirder. Conquasbit accuses him of not trusting his word, as he didn't use any of the information provided in his final No Obedeceré video, while also publicly affirming that he didn't believe in Conquasbit's remarks from the leaks. Also, Conquasbit accuses him of being active in Obey's forum and even collaborating with some of the regulars, which I could confirm by simply browsing the archive of the forums. Starting in March of 2008, he seemed to act really friendly around Axelexa and other Obey worshippers. Music also states he loves Obey in this YouTube comment, the third one. He wonders if Music is My Faith is a double agent working for both sides. Don't ask me how. I don't even know. This whole saga is so fucking weird. Meanwhile, Conquasbit stated in these 3 videos that the truth would come out soon. Answers have been found, and although his original plan had been broken by Kafsamexamek and Music is My Faith shenanigans, he recompiled enough information to make definitive conclusions about Obey's motives and identity. Conquasbit only needed to back up all of his hypotheses, and the only thing people had to do was to wait. Part 5. A reflection of anger, loneliness, and despair. Saying that Conquasbit's actions shook Obey to the core would be a severe understatement. In fact, he nuked the entire forum amidst a nervous breakdown. All the threads, all the praise and hate, the depravities and the worshipping, and even the drama that was starting to cook inside the halls of the forum, all deleted and long gone. His explanation for the nuking seemed like delirious rambling, but I will transcribe it here in its complete form as it gives great insight into Obey's mind, and it will be relevant later. As you will see, the forum is no longer the same before. Several threads, many of them, have disappeared due to the demonic forces. It is difficult to explain this to you mortals, as your understanding of the nature of the universe is a bit limited, so I will explain it in an easy and simple way so y'all can understand. The demonic forces were born before time, where the universe was there but not the understanding of its existence. But in spite of this situation, a mystical force struck ground, and from that day on, everything that this force touched is known as life. However, the demonic forces would not allow this, and so they decided to fight to regain what was once theirs. This war had lasted millions of millennia. Until recently, these two forces were still at war. But then, something we call the Walrus came along. The Walrus is the organization of the 365 lights and shadows, and is in charge of keeping peace between the two forces. Until 4 millennia ago, everything was going well, until the demonic forces devised a plan to dominate both the mystical force and the Walrus to aid it in this battle. And because of this, there currently are only two beings, the Walrus and the demonic forces. The demonic forces have sworn to, to end our world as we know it, but luckily we have the Walrus, who will always protect us from the spirits and the demons that roam around us. P.S. Forum topics have disappeared due to demonic forces, as apparently a new age of evil is beginning. What has been done to the forum is just the start. So for now, please keep starting more threats to confront these demons and tell them we are not afraid. Outside of the Walrus, you will be unprotected. But don't worry, because the Walrus has a splendid idea that I will share with you later. The nuking of the forum did not stop Conquazbit at all anyway, since the plan of action was carried out outside of the internet. Remember the MySpace account where Obey uploaded his drawings? Conquazbit would print all 21 of them and show them to numerous professionals of the mental health field to have a better gist of what was going on inside his subconscious mind and finally crack the case. Since he was a psychology student in college, he had the possibility of meeting 9 psychologists and psychiatrists face to face and discuss his own different hypotheses, while also getting new others proposed by all these specialists. It's safe to say that this dude was not playing around, unlike the rest of the players in the story so far. Conquazbit was determined to back up his claims with evidence and the scientific method. His findings would be published in the long-awaited final investigation, which was uploaded on November 7, 2008. Part 1 of the video showcased an analysis of all the drawings, which seemingly represented different traits of Obey's personality and mental state: aggression, voyeuristic behavior, sexual perversion, distortion and confusion regarding sexual identity, maternal dependency, schizoid personality, regressive and childish behavior, obsessive-compulsive behavior, belief of own delusions, and disgust of obesity and race. Quasbit stated that he showed a few of Obey's videos to the professionals, who affirmed that they shared the same themes as his drawings. The videos were practically animated editions of the drawings, and then it can be concluded that they weren't meant to be artistic, aesthetically pleasant, nor creative. According to the specialist, they were just a venting method for Obey, a way of showing his thoughts and inner struggles for the world to see. The community finally had some answers at last, but there were still 2 big mysteries that were not quite solved. Who was Obey the Walrus, and what is the meaning and subliminal messages behind the original video, Obedece a la Morsa? In part 2, Conquazbit reveals the final piece of the puzzle. Obey actually didn't believe he was a god. This was something Conquazbit knew beforehand, as he used to be his closest ally, but it was unknown to the whole community surrounding this drama. Obey indirectly alluded to this in his demonic forces rant, revealing the true god he worshipped and believed in, the Walrus. According to Conquazbit, Obey seemed to be in the initial stage of schizophrenia and actually believed his own delusions. And Obey's belief of the Walrus was the moment when it all fell into place for Conquazbit. To give a little bit of context, he explained a mission given by God in the Bible called the Great Commission, which is explained inside the book in Mark 16:15-16. He said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned." Conquazbit formulated a hypothesis regarding the subliminal messages of Obedece a la Morsa, and it was confirmed by the specialist he contacted. The message wasn't hidden in the visuals, nor the sounds, nor the themes, but in the title all along. Obey's main goal was to spread the Walrus word, and his preferred method was to create a video so creepy it would be endlessly shared all over the world out of morbid shock. It was his own self-composed Great Commission. By making a video so different and bizarre, people had no other option but to share it with their friends and make it viral. So millions of people would subconsciously obey the Walrus' Great Commission and spread the word. And since this video managed to surpass the 5 million view mark in 1 year, it means that everyone obeyed. But thanks to Conquasbit's effort, the truth was out, and the world didn't have to obey anymore. Obey's biggest fear was to lose the little amount of control he had in his life, to be exposed and therefore removed of the power of manipulation he was bestowed by the YouTube community when they uploaded that curse video. And Conquasbit just gave the final hit that broke the camel's back, making Obey's biggest fear a reality. He could make more videos and ask people to obey the Walrus, but it didn't matter because people already knew the truth. Conquasbit affirmed that amidst this knowledge, Obey's real identity was not relevant at all. But since people asked so much, he decided to dox him in the end of the video. He revealed his full name, the city where he lived, the college where he studied, and his real age. He was just a 19-year-old boy. To conclude the investigation video, Conquasbit begged him to find help, because there was something wrong with him and he could end up considering suicide if he continued down his dark path. Conquasbit also expressed this urge for Obeys to find help in the only way he could really understand, with a final video written with subliminal overtones. El fin de Obey the Walrus, the end of Obey the Walrus. Warning, it includes frames from La Venganza, aka Extreme Gore, which was meant to denounce Obey's immorality and his own internal struggles in a raw and direct way, trying to break his grandeur fantasy and putting a mirror in front of him in an attempt to make him realize his situation for the first time. The only thing Obey could see in that mirror was a reflection of his own anger, loneliness, and despair. He didn't have no one who actually liked him for who he was, and he needed urgent psychiatric help before it was too late. This final video also expressed a feeling of victory from Conquasbit's part. Much of the video features the fourth movement of Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, the famous Ode to Joy meant to praise humanity and the world at peace, and it was a very fitting musical choice, by showing a tomb with the word Obey the Walrus engraved in the stone. Conquasbit announced to the world that they were finally free from the Walrus and its malevolent manipulation. Obey's plan had failed and the truth was known, so people didn't have to fall deep into its claws again. People were free, and this video was a celebration of this newfound hope. On November 9, 2008, 2 days after Conquasbit uploaded these free videos, Obey deleted his YouTube account and disappeared from the internet. Part 6, The End of an Era. The imagery of passing away used in Conquasbit's video made the comments community take Obey's disappearance as a symbolic death. Even the symbolism wasn't meant to be taken literally. Lots of people were happy they don't have to deal with Obey's disgusting behavior anymore, and some others were extremely shocked and literally mourned his death. Some of his friends even made a posthumous video to honor his memory. But the wide majority of people was only sad because this era filled with mystery and drama had finally come to an end. While the news initially made quite a shock inside the community, the whole incident would slowly be forgotten in the following years. One of the things that directly followed after the whole incident was the Finihario videos wave. After Obey's death, some people felt compelled to complete his legacy, so they started to create similar content. Soon, a little corner of YouTube would be filled with videos written with surreal editing and subliminal messages, which were not related to the Walrus lore at all though. They were their own thing, used like the previous Alexa, but also others like Lakagim, AlexKea7, R-Slot, and Destino Casualidad, among others, tried to launch this movement in a legitimate way, creating art that was born out of pure creativeness instead of delusions or mental illness. I would argue that the Finihario movement is one of the few good things that came out of this whole drama. I wouldn't say the content itself is very good, but hey, I support the artistic vein these people had. While the drama itself seemed to wrap up in a perfect final season of the show, kind of way, there still was some sort of questions left unanswered. The first example of this being the validity of Conquasbit's final investigation. The weight of his hypotheses were carried by the interpretations of Obey's drawings. The traits displayed in them and how those correlated with the ideology in the videos. But some users have affirmed that Obey didn't know how to draw at all, and the images in the MySpace account were actually drawn by another person. If there was any shred of truth in these allegations, Conquazbit's investigation would have made no sense. He might have psychoanalyzed an entirely different person, which would render all of his efforts useless. Another thing that left the community confused is the disappearance of Obey himself. After his death, other YouTube accounts, such as Obey the Walrus or Obey the Walrus, and others who didn't even bother to alter the name, showed up and tried to convince everyone they were the real Obey, claiming they were hacked or YouTube deleted their account or whatever. The Obey the Walrus wiki, because obviously that's his thing, states that Obey returned with an account once called Odabenes Rosmarus, now simply called Obey the Walrus, and there was also talks of a SoundCloud account, supposedly linked to Obey. More about that in this video. The validity of these claims is impossible to prove though, and they might simply be randos who tried to gain clout in the Finario movement by posing as the real Obey. My headcanon is that Obey is still alive and quietly resurfaced on the internet with a completely different username, hiding his involvement in this whole drama and leaving everything behind. To finally end this section, I will explain the biggest mystery of it all, Conquazbit's identity. A couple of weeks after Obey's death, he also deleted his channel and disappeared from the internet. There's a vent among the high amount of knowledge about Obey's personality he seemed to have, made many people to theorize that these two users were the same person all of this time, who made up all of this drama. Early on, 777 Tortellini even implied that Obey versus Conquazbit were one and the same in his final No Obedecer video. And the fact that Conquazbit didn't even mention this in his whole rant, directed to the investigator in El Receto de la Morsa vs. Conquazbit Part 2, struck me as a very, very weird detail. It could have been easily debunked, yet Conquazbit didn't even bother to mention it. Another detail that adds weight to this theory is the fact that Conquazbit listed all the real names of the 9 specialists he contacted in the investigation and the institutions where they worked. I googled some of them, and the fact that there isn't any trace of them only could be evidence proving that this whole thing was made up. Granted, this happened in 2008, so it's entirely plausible they're real and they just don't have any online presence. On the other side, a detail that disproves this theory is the fact that there is a supposed identity linked in the Conquazbit article from the Obey the Walrus wiki, listing a real name and location. But then again, there is no way to prove the validity of this identity. Nonetheless, the proposition that this entire story was some kind of brilliant proto-art ARG orchestrated by Obey/Conquazbit completely blows my mind. But the truth may never be known. As for the aftermath of the Obedece a la Morsa video itself, you probably already know. The most popular re-upload has the whopping amount of 32 million views, and that's without considering all the countless other re-uploads on YouTube. It shaped the entire internet horror/creepypasta community as we know it, just like other classes such as I Feel Fantastic, Dining Room/There Is Nothing, or username 666 did in their time. Obedece a la Morsa sparked a big wave of reaction videos, and even was covered by big horror YouTube channels like Scarefeeder. But they mostly focused on Sandy Crisp's story and debunked some of the lasting conspiracy theories about the video, completely overlooking the real backstory. The Goddess Bunny's story and the fake myths eclipsed the original lore, which is practically forgotten at this point, while 2008's Obey would have hated this conclusion. I can only hope his 2025's grown-up self is happy he was able to move on and go on with his life. Epilogue: the only deity worth praising. To finish this write-up, we are going right back where we started, the Goddess Bunny. Sandy Crisp's life has recently come to an end, passing away on January 27th of 2021, age 61. She was another victim of COVID-19, marking another name to the long list of loved ones that left the earth because of that cursed coronavirus. If only this world hadn't been plagued with this horrifying disease, maybe she would still be here with us. This news was announced by none other than beloved singer-songwriter Lana Del Rey, who had a close family connection with Sandy via her personal Instagram account. This shows that Sandy's relationship with the arts world remained closely maintained right until the very end, having a subtle yet significant impact on popular culture. None of that is relevant compared to her struggles, though. She had to endure so much horrible things, so much humiliation and abuse, yet managed to overcome all of that and shine in her own unique way. The headlines after her death proudly label her a trans-disabled cult icon. If we take her stage name at face value, we can affirm that she is the only deity worth praising in this entire story, unlike Obey, who forced everyone to worship the Walrus and himself through sheer terror and manipulation. The goddess bunny earned her praise for resilience, strength, and a sense of acceptance of who she really was, warts and all. In the documentary, you can see her kind personality and how she deeply cares about the people around her, especially about the people who have gone or are in danger of going through the same disgrace that happened to her. She was a truly admirable person, and if Obey did anything good, it was raising awareness to this tragic yet beautiful life story, greatly inspiring those who made the effort to learn more about it. After the news of her death became mainstream, lots of people who remembered the Obedece a la Morsa video went right back to YouTube to rewatch it again. Most of them watched the video when they were young, and now that they have grown up and know about Sandy's story, they realize they never had any reason to be scared. Upon rewatching the video after so many years, they realized the monster or abomination they remember was never depicted in the video at all. All this time, they have been seeing a goddess. Rest in peace, Sandy Crisp, 1960 to 2021. Before linking the sources used to write this post, I just want to give a shout out to the YouTube user, The Return of Oot, who uploaded this useful recap/documentation of the whole drama. This video is the one that introduced me to the story of Obey the Walrus back then in 2013, and it was the most useful source while redacting this post. 80% of the post is based on what is documented on this video. They also archived all of Obey's videos, Conquazabit's videos, and Music is My Fave, 7-7 Tortellini, and Conquazabit's investigations. Without these other valuable sources, this write-up couldn't even exist. So please be sure to check the videos mentioned and give the channel some views. I also urge you to watch the Goddess Bunny documentary, which will be linked in the sources. It is actually amazing, and you will enjoy it if you like films like Gummo. For the documentary is not as depressing as that movie. Sandy Crisp's life is very interesting, and I'd be glad if her struggles and victories were one of the main takeaways of this entire write-up. How do I end this?